What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints and giving you our season preview for the 2021 NFL season, including record predictions. All that and much more coming your way right now! Hey Trash Talkers, it's Mike here. Over 93% of you who view our show each and every day are not subscribed to the channel. If you could hit that red subscribe button, it would help us out tremendously, and it is completely free for you guys. If you want to stay up to date with our daily content, then click that bell icon and you will be notified every time we go live. Nick and I both really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and we can't wait to keep making more daily content for you. All right, Nick, the New Orleans Saints have been in a very tough spot since the end of last season, and it has only gotten harder for them as the offseason has progressed, taking a look at where the cap ended up being down for the first time in over a decade. Now we're taking a look at some of the players that they lost. So why don't we start off with their additions? Not too many big names to note here. Fullback Alex Armah, tight end Nick Vannett. We have defensive end Tanoh Kpassagnon, Jalen McCleskey, and first-round pick Pete Werner. Which one of these stands out to you as the most important piece for them?
There really aren't a lot of big names here, but I do like the signing of Tanoh Kpassagnon because to me, they need to replace Trey Hendrickson, and he really shined in the last few years and in the early parts of his career, and I think that he can really take over that Trey Hendrickson role. I think that he can fit well on this defensive line with Daniel Onyemata holding down the middle of the field. I think that he could really make a name for himself on the New Orleans Saints, and he could be a big surprise for this defense this season.
Yeah, taking a look at these additions, there's, like I said, not many to note, but Nick Vannett was an interesting piece for me because I think he slides right into that tight end one role with Jared Cook no longer there. I think he's going to be the pass catcher that either Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston is going to be utilizing the most. I think he's going to be one of those guys that they rely upon. So I think that Nick Vannett is going to have a solid role coming into New Orleans. So with some of these additions, they had a lot of losses just to get under that cap number. So let's start off with some of the biggest names that they lost. Quarterback Drew Brees retired, linebacker Kwon Alexander, tight end Jared Cook, defensive end Trey Hendrickson, cornerback Janoris Jenkins, defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, and wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders. Which one of these losses do you think is the absolute biggest?
It really doesn't get any bigger than a future Hall of Famer, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, Drew Brees. Losing a guy like that is always painful. We know it firsthand, being Patriot fans. Losing Tom Brady was massive for the Patriots. We know exactly how it's going to be for the New Orleans Saints next year and the years to come. It's going to be a struggle without that guy holding down the offense. You can count on a guy like Drew Brees week in and week out, and they saw without him in those few games last year when Taysom Hill took over, it wasn't the same offense. He struggled working with his weapons. He struggled getting points in the red zone. This team had some issues, and those are going to be the same issues they continue to work through this season and in the coming seasons as well.
Yeah, I mean, these are very notable names, and obviously Drew Brees, the biggest among them. But I'm actually going to take a look at the defensive side of the field, and I think that the loss of Trey Hendrickson is going to be absolutely disastrous for this team. When you take a look at their defensive line, they have some big pieces. You pointed out David Onyemata. They still have defensive end Cameron Jordan on this team, so they definitely have some pieces. But opposite Cam Jordan, so the fact that he wasn't getting double teamed because Trey Hendrickson provided a problem for opposing offenses was the best thing for this defense. He could get one-on-ones going up against tackles and getting to the quarterback. Now there isn't anybody on that side that really puts a fear in opposing offenses. In fact, you talked about Tanoh Kpassagnon. I'm not too sure he's going to do the same thing that Trey Hendrickson ended up doing. I believe that this is a massive loss for them, and this is just one of many. Again, we're talking about Janoris Jenkins, Sheldon Rankins, some of these guys, Kwon Alexander, who they traded for last year, gave up draft capital to get, and he's no longer part of the team. They had a lot of losses this year, and it all came down to the cap and what they really had to do to get underneath that number. So at this point, let's take a look at their record and take a look at the schedule, see if maybe they can win some of these games. All right, taking a look at the schedule for the New Orleans Saints, let's take a look at week 1. The Green Bay Packers come into New Orleans, where they come in and face the Drew Brees-less Saints for the first time. This used to be a highly anticipated matchup between these two teams, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. That no longer exists. You're going to either have Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is who I expect will take the snaps at the start of the season as the quarterback. And honestly, I believe that Jameis Winston, he's not all that bad. He's going to be able to put up some points for this team. The caveat is he turns the ball over. And I think the Packers are going to get to him often, and I think that they're going to make him make stupid mistakes. I look for the Saints to score some points in this one, but the Packers take this one pretty easily.
Then moving into week 2, the New Orleans Saints get their first shot against the Carolina Panthers and new quarterback Sam Darnold in what should be a pretty good matchup. And to me, this is going to come down to who has the ball at the end. To me, these are two high-powered offenses. The defenses will be decent, but they're just not going to be enough to stop these new quarterbacks. They're not going to be able to learn that quickly how to stop these offenses. And to me, it's going to be the Carolina Panthers that take it in week 2 because they have home turf, because they have a lot more wide receiver depth than the New Orleans Saints. Christian McCaffrey is back and fully healthy to go. Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas are great weapons, but when you don't have too many other weapons behind them, it's kind of iffy. And I think that the Panthers' first-round pick, J.C. Horn, is going to have a nice day against Michael Thomas.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. And, there's a lot of things that the Saints have going for them. But, at this point, there's not too many. So when the Saints in week 3 go on the road once again, second straight week, they're going to Foxborough to visit the New England Patriots, and they're going to visit Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick retooled his team. They got the Patriots all right from last year after the debacle that was last year. And I believe that the Patriots will end up handily beating the Saints. I think the Saints don't really have a shot here. It's the second of back-to-back weeks where they're on the road. They're going to be looking to go home. Let's see if they can win next week.
Then moving into week 4, the New York Giants make their way to the New Orleans Saints, and it's another tough matchup when you look at the Giants offense. It's Daniel Jones leading the team, but then he also has Kenny Golladay, a fully healthy Saquon Barkley. He's got Kadarius Toney as his new weapon, as well as Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard as returning weapons. There's so many weapons on this offense. The Saints don't have the secondary depth to get past these guys. Kenny Golladay is going to be matched up on Marshawn Lattimore. That'll be a great matchup. But then when you look at the Saints' other corners and safeties, they're just not going to be a match for the wide receivers and tight ends that the Giants have to offer. The Giants have just a little too much more offense than the Saints, and the Giants are going to win this shootout.
And then moving into week 5, the Saints go on the road once again for the third time in the first 5 weeks, taking on the Washington football team. And the Washington football team actually vastly improved this year, in my opinion. They got better at the cornerback position. They got better at the wide receiver position. They upgraded at quarterback. And I believe that the Saints are going to have a real struggle here in Washington. I believe that they're going to really have to focus and hone in on what they do. Michael Thomas is going to really have to dig out of a hole where he is the only guy worth noting in the receiving core. And then Alvin Kamara, he's not going to get any looks on the against this defensive line. So I think that the Washington football team actually comes out on top here.
But then in week 6, the New Orleans Saints get a reprieve and get to reflect on their poor season start. And then in week 7, they get to go on the road to Seattle to face Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and company. And again, another tough matchup. Even though they have a bye week, they still got to figure out how to get past another top tier offense, and they've got some nice weapons on defense. Jamal Adams is fully healthy. Bobby Wagner's still there. They've got this defensive line that's getting better. I think that the Seattle Seahawks are just going to be a little too much for the Saints. Saints are still going to be struggling a little bit.
Then in week 8, it does not get easier as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the vaunted Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champions, come to town in New Orleans. They are bitter rivals of the Saints. That whole history does not need to be revamped right now, but the Buccaneers come in off of a heavy win streak, and they continue to roll with that, and they're looking to continue their winning ways. Well, against the Saints, it's going to continue because the way this Bucks team is built, they are just retooling and they are ready. They are a Super Bowl team because they won the Super Bowl with this team last year. Now, the Saints, they're going to be able to put up some points, and they gave them some struggles last year. Sean Payton knows how to play against this team. I don't think this definitely isn't the Drew Brees team. This definitely isn't the same team that the Bucks faced last year. Look for the Saints to get rolled over in this first game.
But then things start to change over in week 9 as they face the Atlanta Falcons at home for the first time this season. And this is where Jameis Winston's really going to shine. He always has a few games each season where you're like, wow, this guy has something really special in him and he's the real deal. This is going to be one of those games where he just absolutely tears up the field. He's going to take it to Matt Ryan, Kyle Pitts, and Calvin Ridley. This Falcons team is really not going to be a match for what Jameis Winston has in store for him. The Saints take their first win in week 9.
Then in week 10, the New Orleans Saints get to face off against the Tennessee Titans, travel to Tennessee, and the Tennessee Titans just made that huge splash trade for wide receiver Julio Jones. So before that, I probably had the Saints winning this game. With Julio Jones, I think the Titans are going to roll all over these guys because Marshawn Lattimore can only cover one of these guys. And it depends if it's going to be Julio, who he knows, or if it's going to be A.J. Brown, who he's going to have to learn on the fly. A.J. Brown can still be a number 1 wide receiver in and of his own right. So even if Marshawn Lattimore absolutely locks down Julio, which doesn't happen, by the way, if that were to some way happen, A.J. Brown's still going to run over them. Derrick Henry is still there. He's going to plow through this defensive line. Look for the Titans to actually win this one by a lot.
Then moving into week 11, the Saints have a really good shot against the Philadelphia Eagles. But in Philly, it's a tough atmosphere. They're facing a solid wide receiver group with Jalen Reagor and Devonta Smith. And then I think that this is where Jalen Hurts is going to have a big game. The Saints are still a big team, even though they're having a poor season. And this is where Jalen Hurts really wants to make a splash, and he does by beating the Saints at home. This is a big win for the Eagles, and it's a little surprising for the Saints. They've got to reflect on how their poor season has started.
Coming off yet another back-to-back road losses, the New Orleans Saints go home on a short week to face the Buffalo Bills, and I think this is a trap game because the Bills are going to be coming off of a short week as well, but at the end of the day, I think that the Buffalo Bills are just going to be a little too much. Stephon Diggs and this offense with Josh Allen under center is really going to put the pressure on the Saints to get the job done defensively. I don't think they have the requisite pieces to get that done. I think this will be a very close game, but I think the Buffalo Bills eke this one out.
In week 13, the Cowboys make their way to New Orleans and face the Saints. This is another tough matchup. The Cowboys have really improved this offseason on defense, and they're getting Dak Prescott back, who's fully healthy. What he was doing last year was nothing short of spectacular, and all of his weapons are still there, and then some. I think that the Cowboys should have a pretty easy time in week 13 against the Saints.
Then in week 14, the Saints get a little reprieve as they go up against the New York Jets, who are starting rookie quarterback Zach Wilson. And Zach Wilson is going to have his hands full with this Saints team. Sean Payton is a coach that should be revered throughout the league, and he might have had a spotty record here and there, but overall, they have the requisite pieces to get the job done. I think that the Saints are going to do a really good job against the Jets. They're going to showcase their skill set. Look for Jameis Winston to have a baller day in week 14, and look for the Saints to beat the Jets.
Moving into week 15, the Saints are looking to continue their winning ways as they face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are on an absolute tear this season, but are coming off a couple losses, and they're looking to pounce on a team that has shown some weaknesses as of recent. The Saints lost the first game to the Buccaneers, but they're not going to lose the second one. These teams always have a strong shootout against each other. Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans is always one of the best matchups to watch every single year. This is going to be a game for the Saints to take, and a game that they can hang their season on. This is going to be the Super Bowl of their season.
Yeah, I mean, coming off a second straight win, beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are riding high. In fact, not only are they riding high, but they are getting to go home for a 2 game stretch at home, and they take on the Miami Dolphins. And I actually have the Saints winning this Monday Night Football game. I believe that the Saints are going to be so locked in, so focused. They're not fighting for anything at this point. Before this game, they were 3-11. They win this game, they're 4-11. So they're not fighting for the playoffs. They are fighting for pride. Jameis Winston is fighting for his job. Sean Payton is fighting for his job at this point. I think that there is a lot of things going on here for the Saints that is going to be corrected. Michael Thomas is going to have an absolute killer day. Alvin Kamara is going to have one of his 3-4 touchdown games this week. I believe that the Saints will win week 16.
Then in week 17, the Saints are looking to continue their path of terror, and they do against the Carolina Panthers. They lost the first matchup, but that was because they were still getting adjusted in the season. Their new offensive weapons were learning the system. Now that they're fully ingrained into this team, into this offense, they're going to take it to the Carolina Panthers. They're going to figure out a way to edge this one out. I think it's still going to be a shootout, but they're going to get the edge at home in New Orleans.
All right, and then the final week of the season, week 18. Wow, that still seems weird to say, but the New Orleans Saints go on the road yet again. Seems like the idea of their entire season is on the road, but the Saints go on the road to the Atlanta Falcons, their vaunted division rival, and without Julio Jones, the Falcons pose much less of a threat than they once did. Now, I believe that the Falcons still have some great pieces, but the Saints will end up winning this game. Look for the Saints to absolutely dominate the Falcons, finish their season off right on a 5 game win streak after going so long without a win. I mean, the Saints have done an incredible job to finish out their season strong, really provide hope for Saints fans and the faithful down in New Orleans for next season.
Overall, a 6-11 record isn't too terrible when you look at all the changes that the New Orleans Saints have gone through this offseason, as well as not having any cap space to go and get all the talent that was available this past offseason. They now get to go into the next offseason saying, we finally have a quarterback that we can trust who brought us on such a great win streak to end the season. We can rely on him. He knows his offense. He's working well with the weapons that he has. And now we can go and get more weapons in the offseason for both sides of the ball now that we have some more cap space, now that the cap has finally gone up and we can finally get this team back to some winning ways. I think the Saints may have a down year, but it's only going to be a bright future as they see the end of this season.
For sure. And I believe that the Saints had one big issue, and that was re-signing Taysom Hill to that massive contract extension. I don't believe that he is worth it. I don't think he has shown that he is worth that amount of money. Nonetheless, if I'm him, I'm taking that money and I'm running. That's exactly what seems to be happening. But do not fret, Saints fans. You know when you lose Drew Brees that you're going to have to go through a little bit of a rebuild, maybe a little bridge year, maybe two. I think that the Saints are poised to do some great things over the next couple of off seasons, get this team back to where it should be, and kind of like the New England Patriots, they'll be right back in the thick of things before long. All right, well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.